Today, we will be looking at the PSAT. Now, you probably heard of the SAT, but what the hell is that P for? Well, it stands for practice. Now, the real SAT for me will be coming on March 3rd. Brr, that's scarily close to here. It'll decide my future in college, so. Alright, so before we start, let me explain what this is. So the SAT is basically divided into 4 quarters. So the first quarter is reading, second is writing, third is math with no calculator, and fourth is math with calculator. So you see this calculator on the table here? I'm gonna push it away. Alright, and the thing is, for this section, math without calculator, they only give 20 minutes to you. So let's put 20 minutes on the clock. Yeah, there it is. 20 minutes. Alright, so as you can see, we have 20 minutes running on the clock. Alright, let's start. Number 1, what is the average rate of change for the line graphed in the figure above? Rate of change, that's just equal to slope. So let's see what the slope is. So, do we have solid points? Yes. We have one over here, which is -8, -8. So let's put that over there. So, x1, y1. Remember, the point that comes first, like this one over here is x1, y1, and the point that comes second is x2, y2. So this one looks to be 0, -3. So 0, -3, so x2, y2. Remember, we only have a minute on average for each question. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is -3 minus -8 over x2 is 0 and x1 is 8. So that's equal to -3 plus 8 over 0 plus 8, which is equal to 5 over 8, which should be, I believe, B. So 1, I'm just going to write it over here, is B. Alright, so now we'll check the original sheet for my answers. And 2, which of the following could be the factored form, the equation graphed in the figure above? Alright, so the factored form, that basically means that we need to test out these x-intercepts. The x-intercepts is when y is equal to 0. So what we can do is just ignore this slope thingy for now. Let's just say we have x minus 1, x plus 5, for example. If we have this, then we can test out the y-intercepts, or the x-intercepts, I mean, by setting y equals 0. Then x minus 1 could be equal to 0, meaning the x-intercept could be 1, or for here, the x-intercept could be 5. It could be both. However, the thing shows us over here that the x-intercepts are -1 and +5. That's what we're aiming for. So x-intercepts are -1 and -5, or +5. Sorry. Oh, I can't explain this slow. Okay, so let's try the first one out. Well, x minus 2 equals 0 and x plus 6 equals 0, which means that the x-intercepts will be 2 and 6, which is wrong. Or 2 and -6, which is still wrong. And now we have the second choice, which is x plus 2 and x minus 6. And so that gives us, x equals -2 and x equals +6, which is still wrong. Now, we already tried this other choice and we found out it was wrong, meaning the last one, D, must be correct. So let's write that on our original sheet. Alright, second page. Number 3, kinetic energy is the energy of motion, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so KE equals half mv squared. Classic physics equation, or EK as they write it, U. So, what is the kinetic energy in joules if an unmanned aircraft has a mass of 2 times 10 to the 3rd power kilos and a speed at approximately 3 times 10 to the 3rd power? And so now we just plug in to find the kinetic energy. So that's Ke is equal to half times 2 times 10 to the 3 and 3 times 10 to the 3 squared. And so that equal to 1/2 times 2 to the 10 to the 3 is 10 to the 3rd power. 10 to the 3rd power times 9 to the 10 cubed to the 2nd power is going to be 10 to the 6th because of multiplication of exponents. Finally, that gives us 9 times 10 to the 9th power. All right, so that is C. So that means that we have to mark our original paper. 3 is C. 6 minutes and we've only solved 3 questions. All right, so now for the next one. Number 4. In the equation above, what is the value of K? Well, this is just some simple equation solving. So let's write this thing down again. You don't have to pan the camera. Equals 17 minus 8 plus K over 4. All right, now keep it over here. First of all, we can conjugate, but we'll do that after everything is simplified. So first, distribute. We get 3K minus 3 plus 5. It's still running even when it's off. Okay, divided by 2 or divvied by 2. 17 minus 8 plus K. Now these parentheses mean the negative is being distributive. Negativity is contagious, sadly. So that means we have 17 minus 8 minus K over 4, which gives us 3K plus 2 over 2 is equal to 17 minus 8 is 9 minus K over 4. And now we can conjugate, meaning we can multiply this by 2 over 2, which gives us 6K plus 4 over 4 equals 9 minus K over 4. Now multiply both sides by 4, which should give you 6K plus 4 equals 9 minus K, which means we get 7K plus 4 is 9. So 7K is 5, thus K is 5 over 7, and 5 over 7 is B. So let's put that on our answer sheet. And next, all right, 5. An environmental, okay, blah, 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 throw out, reduce by 3% each year. So they want us to reduce stuff by 3% each year. And on the year that the pledge was signed, each person threw out an average of 1,800 pounds of garbage. So what would be the exponential function used to model this T years after the contract is signed? So that would be 1,800, the stuff that they throw out initially, times 1 minus the decay rate, which is 3% or 0.03, times the amount of years, or to the power of the amount of years. So 1,800, 1 minus 0.03 is 0.97, and T. So now, which choice is that? Yes, that looks to be D. All right, so let's write that down. 5 is D. All right, 6. Which of the following is equivalent to the expression above? Well, you may be able to see that these two actually have common denominators. So minus 3x minus 8 over x plus 5. And now, distribute negativity. 6x plus 2 minus 3x, and minus minus is plus over x plus 5. So 3x, 2, 8, 3x plus 10 over x plus 5. All right, now which choice is that? Yes, it's B. Okay, our sprint. We have 11 minutes left. Oh no. 7. If the equation of the line shown in the figure above is written in the form y over x equals m, which of the following would be the value of m? It's really just asking for the slope. Don't be fooled. And the slope is 0, run 1, 1, 3, rise 1, which is 1/3, which means that the slope over here is 1/3, which is c. Equal to 1/3, which is c. All right, so 8. If 4x squared, okay, this is basically trying to multiply two polynomials. So let's turn to the flip side. 4x squared plus 7x and plus 1, and then you have 3x plus 5. Now, you might be wondering why I'm writing it in such a funky way. Well, because of something I like to call the box method. Alright, it's distribution time. So, now what we can do is multiply each of these. It's harder to understand than FOIL, but it's certainly an easier trick. So 4x squared and 3x, we're just distributing 3x and 5 to every single one of these things. So, I don't think I have time to explain it very well, but this is 12x cubed. 3x times 7x would be 21x squared, and 1 times 3x is 3x. Now, what are we caring about? The coefficient of x. Alright, and 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 7x is 35x, and then 5 times 4x squared is 20x squared. Now, normally, to find the product, you would have to add everything. However, we only care about the x things. So, we are only going to add the two terms that have x in them. So, we have 35x and 3x, or more specifically, x to the first power, which is 38x. Which means that we have D, because 38 is the coefficient in 38x. Alright. So 9. What are we doing? Not quite sure. Worldwide unemployment. Oh God. So the graph is definitely not decreasing everywhere. Some parts it's increasing, which is bad. And let's see. The graph is increasing from 2007 to 2010. Well, however, in 2010, from 2009 to 2010, we actually see there's a little bit of a drop. So B is wrong as well. See, it's decreasing from 2004 to 2007, which we see it does, and from 2009 to 2011, which we see it does as well. So C must be the right answer. So 9 is C. Alright, 10. The solution to which inequality is represented in the graph above? Well, first of all, we have to look at this. So, let's test out A, first of all. 1 over 4x minus y is greater than 3. Now, let's get this in y equals mx plus b form. 1 over 4x, let's add y to both sides. Now, let's subtract 3 from both sides. And we have y is less than 1 over 4x minus 3. Now we know it must be less than because there is a shading over here. And remember, if you see a minus in an inequality, that means this y is not supposed to be here. And then the sign must be, the sign, even though it looks like it's greater than, it's actually less than once you put it in mx plus b form. So that means that 10, A must be the answer. It has the right y-intercept, it has the right sign, it has the right slope, it has everything. Alright, so 10 is A. Wait. Alright, oh goodness, we have 7 minutes left. If AB is a solution, okay, what is the ratio of B to A? That's what they're saying. So, now, I have to solve for this. So let's distribute the 1/2. So, have this initially to B. Now, we distribute this, which gives us 2A plus 5B equals B. Now, we subtract 5B from both sides, which gives us 2A equals negative 4B. And so, now, we're going to divide both sides by 2, which gives us A equals negative 2B. And then, we divide both sides by B. And A over B is negative 2 over 1. However, now, we take the inverse of both of these fractions. So we're going to flip them. And boom, what do you see? B over A is negative 1/2. And which one is that? C. Alright, so 12. If the system of linear equations above has no solution and A is a constant, what is the value of A? Well, if it had no solution, then it must have went something like this. 1 over 3x, 2 over 3y is equal to negative 8. And then we have ax plus, I believe, 6y is equal to 15. And then now what we are going to do to match this 6 is we're going to multiply this by 6 is 18 over 3, so we're going to multiply this by negative 9 to make this one 18 over 3, or negative 18 over 3. We'll just multiply this by nothing. So, negative 3x minus 9 times 1/3 plus 2 over 3y, or now it would be minus 6y, or minus 6y, is equal to positive 72. This is equal to 15ax, and then plus 6y. And these two have to cancel out, and these two have to cancel out. The first one is done, but how do we make the second one cancel out? That's right, a must be 3. That means that a is 3. So that's D. 12 is solved. 13. Taxi in the city. Don't worry, that was me fooling around. Charges $3 for the first a quarter of a mile, plus 0.25 for each additional eighth of a mile. Eric plans to spend no more than $20 on a taxi ride around the city. Which inequality represents the number of miles? All right. Now you have to realize they're charging 0.25 for every eighth of a mile. Now, that would mean that if we multiply that by 8, that means they're charging $2 for every mile. And he wants to spend less than $20, and we already pay a $3 fee, and so we're doing 2 every mile, which gives us 3 plus 2m is less than or equal to 20. I believe that's it, so that should be C of 14. So if the equation of the circle shown above is written in the form x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by equals C, what is the value of ab plus C? Now the equation of this thing is going to be, well, let's see. We have x minus 8 squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Now, what is the radius of this thing? Well, we can find out. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means we have 6 squared is 36 over here. So, x minus 8. 8 is to the right, which is 0. So, we just write x squared. And then y minus k. K is upward. And it's obviously 2 upwards. So, we put y minus 2 squared equals to 36. Now, we can expand this using x squared plus 2ax plus a squared. Or, in the case of minus, we have this instead. So, y is going to be x here. Y squared minus 2 times y plus a squared, which is 4. So, that gives us y squared minus 4y plus 4. So, that gives us x squared plus y squared minus 4y plus 4 equals 36. Now, subtract 4 from both sides, and you get 32 over here. Now, there's a y term, and so the coefficient of this y term would be b. So, we know b is negative 4. There is no x term, so we know a is 0, and we know c, which is the thing over here, is going to be 32. So, now they're asking for a times b plus c. Now, since a is 0, this entire thing is 0. So, they're asking for c, which is 32, and 32 is d. So, now, that was a pretty long problem, which set us back. Oh, God, we have 1 minute. 15. Projectile is any moving object that is thrown near the Earth's surface. Path of the projectile is called the trajectory, and we model by a quadratic equation, blah, blah, blah. So what they're asking for is the highest point on this thing. And the highest point on this thing, well, we can sort of kind of like trace it and graph it. So if we take 1 over here, we get minus 16 times 1 squared, which is 1. And then we have plus 64t, 64 times 1, plus 8. And then minus 16 plus 72 is, well, that gives us 72 minus 16, 72 minus 12 is 56. So now, let's try the second one. Minus 16 times 4 is equal to 64 times 2, which is 128 plus 8. And so, we have minus 16 times 4 is negative 64. Oh!
This one, no, continue, finish it.
Even though the timer stopped. Even though the timer stopped, we'll finish our last question to make sure you don't miss out on the answer. So negative 64 plus 128 plus 8 is going to be 64 plus 8, which is 72, which is going to be the highest point.
No, finish it.
So that means that 15... Wait, no, but you said stop.
No, it's fine, finish it.
Ah.
I want you to finish it.
I'm tired.
Fine, no problem. And then you're good for night.
Alright, let's just end the marathon thing for a little bit. Alright, so 16. Just count the official record as me doing 15 problems. This is just us going over. So, if 3 over 4x plus 5 over 6y is equal to 12, what is the value of 9x plus 10y? Well, I think that the least common thing, or the least common factor, I think it's called, it would be 12 for both of those. 4 times 3 is 12, 6 times 2 is 12. And so we multiply the other side by 12. And if you've ever seen 5th graders bragging, they know that 12 times 12 is 144. And so we get 12 times 3 over 4 is 9. And 12 times 5 over 6 is 10. 9x plus 10y is 144. What a coincidence, 9x plus 10y is exactly what they're asking for. So the answer is 144. We're just going to write that over here, 144. 17. How many degrees does this minute hand of an analog clock rotate? From 3 to 3:45. Alright, so let's make a model. So I can't stand it anymore. So if we model a clock, 3, and then we have 10, 11, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. So now, we notice that we have 360 degrees, and they're divided into 12 parts. So this is equal to 360 over 12 is 30. So 30 degrees is between each of these. And now we're remembering the minute hand. So how much is the minute hand moving from 3:20 to 3:45? Well, the minute hand would move from 3:20. So we're concerned with the minute. So let's look at 20 to 45. Now 20 would be at 4 if you're a clock nerd. And then we know that 45 would be at 9. And because we are basically multiplying these two by 5. So we get 20 to 45. And so what is the angle? How much are we traveling? So we're traveling 130 degrees, 2 times 30 degrees, 3 times 30 degrees, 4 times 30 degrees, 5 times 30 degrees. 5 times 30 is 150. And so that's going to be our answer. 18. Triangle ABC is an equilateral triangle cut by 2 parallel lines. The ratio of BFC is blah. Okay, let's just cut the crap. So I'll tell you all about this problem. Oh no, that's not an equilateral triangle. So if we have this. Now, you might be wondering, hey, Soborno, this looks pretty irregular. So let's turn it the right way up if you're confused right now. Actually, let's not. Because what I'm going to do is make it easier for you. Now, let's look back at the SAT book for a second. If we look at this, then we see it's kind of straight when we rotate it at an angle. So, let's see. So this is what we have over here. This is point E, this is point F. And this is supposed to be perfectly aligned with the tip, just not Picasso. And, oh, whoops. Sorry, that's the wrong way. So, alright. So this is supposed to be C, this is supposed to be D. And there's supposed to be another line over here, it says, and there's supposed to be an E over here and an F over here, and there's supposed to be an A over there, I think, and a B over there. So what it's asking is if BF to FC is 3 to 4, and EB is 3, so that means that the length of this thing is 3. Then what is the length of DE? Well, this it actually looks daunting, but it's not once we realize how many right angles there are, and that an equilateral triangle, all angles are 60 degrees. Now, that means that since this is perfectly bisected, we have to split this in two, 30, 30. And now, what will happen is what we can do, we can kind of draw a line over here. This makes a right angle. And now that means that this must be 60 because 180 degrees in a triangle. So now, first of all, we need to figure out what the length of BF is. Well, we know in a 30, 60, 90, so if you know geometry, you know that in a 30, 60, 90, if you have x over here, you have x root 3 over here and 2x over here. And so, that's because of cosine, sine, and theta. And so, what we have is x is over here, so x is 3. And so 2x would be the hypotenuse, which is BF. So 2x would be 6 over here. And we know BF compared to FC. So we have to multiply BF by 4/3 to get to FC. And BF is 6. 6 times 4 over 3 is, I believe that's 8. So that means that this is 8. This diagram is not to scale, I promise you. So, don't be alarmed that 6 appears to be bigger than 8. And then, finally, that means that we will be able to figure out what this is. Because, remember, although this is a rectangle, opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. So by figuring out the length of this, we can figure out the length of DE. So, what is the length of this? Well, we can do that by working backwards. 8 is 2x. That means that 4 should be x. So 4 is this side, which is this. So that means that 4, being this side, must also be this side. DE thus is 4. Boom. Alright, that one took way too long. 19. What is the exponent on x when the expression above is written on simplest form? Now, alright, so let's see. We have 3x to the 3 halves times, I believe it was 16x to the 8. I don't remember, let me check. No, 16x squared. That was horribly wrong. Divide that by 8x to the 1/2. Now, truth is, we don't give a damn frick about these coefficients. We're talking about the exponents over here, guys. So, let's see. We have x 3 over 2 and x squared to the 3rd power. So, now, since we're raising a power to another power, we multiply those powers. We get x to the 6th power divided by x to the 1. Oh, I just forgot. This is supposed to be negative. So, x 3 over 2, x 6. We add those. We get x 15 over 2 over x negative 1/2. So that's equal to 15 over 2 minus negative 1/2. And minus minus, that becomes a plus. So x is to the 16 over 2, which becomes x to the 8. And that's what we care about. That 8 is what we care about. And I just realized we can put that for here. And that's, we're almost done. And an exponential function is given in the form f of x is a times bx. So f of 0, according to the problem, f of 0 is 3. And according to the problem, f of 1 is 15. So they're asking us to find f of minus 2. Now the key here is finding what a is. So first of all, let's see. F of 0 has to be equal to a times b to the 0th power. Anything to the 0th power must be 1. F of 0 thus must be a to the 1. And since f of 0 is 3, then 3 is a. So we know what a is. Now we have to find b. And we could do exactly that with f of 1. So f of 1 is I can't. F of 1 is equal to 3 times b to the x, and that would be b to the first power. So f of 1 is just 3b, and we know f of 1 is 15. That means that b is 5. So now we can figure out f of minus 2 by simply plugging in. We get 3 times 5 to the negative 2. And 5 to the negative 2 is 1 over 25. So f of negative 2 is 3 over 25. So that is going to be the final one. It's grading time. So let's see. Number 1, B. Alright, let's see if this is right. Number 1, B. Remember, I was under pressure for the first 15 questions. B is correct. D is correct. C is correct. B is correct. D is correct. B is correct. C is correct. D is correct. 9 is C. 10 is A. 11 is C. 12 is D. 13 is C, which I got wrong. Whoopsies. 14 is D. 15 is A, which is also right. 16 is 144, which is right. 17 is 150, which is right. 18 is 4, which is right. 19 is 8, which is right. And 20 is 3 over 25, which is right. Alright, thank you everybody for watching.